Hi, I'm Todd Rosenbluth, Head of Research at Verify. Thanks for joining us for another episode of ETF 360. I'm pleased to be joined by Bob Minter of Aberdeen, and we're going to talk about one of their commodity ETFs under the ticker BCIM. Bob, thanks for joining me.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure. We've seen demand for commodity ETFs rise sharply in 2022 after being out of favor with investors in prior years. What do you think's driving that?
Well, I think after a long period of disinflation, investors have rediscovered the benefit of adding commodities to their portfolios. Through early September, the S&P 500 is down 16%. The U.S. aggregate bond index is down 12%. But the Bloomberg Commodity Index, which is a broad-based index, is up 17%. And I think that helps explain some of the attention that's been given to commodities as investors rediscover the commodity sector, having been out for a long time.
So what role do you see advisors using commodity ETFs within their portfolio?
So commodities allow you to gain exposure to some of the inflation-generating sectors, exposure to an asset that actually rises when the climate changes. When we have droughts and excess heating and cooling needs, commodities can benefit.
Well, that's certainly the case. And so BCIM is one of your commodity ETFs. How does it get exposure to the commodities market? And specifically, what are some of the areas of the focus?
Sure. So a few years ago, we started a project, and we wanted to give investors an instrument that allows them to participate in the energy transition. We're huge believers in the energy transition, and I think it's very well founded, and sometimes this is getting lost in all the political back and forth. The U.S., Europe, and China total combined GDP is $52 trillion. It's a massive amount. And they are all trying to get more renewable energy and move to a renewable economy all at the same time. And that's just a massive amount of money, a massive amount of projects. And I don't need to know what the number one selling electric vehicle in China is. I know there's copper in it. I know there's aluminum in it. I know there's zinc and nickel in it. And so the same is true for the number one selling electric vehicles in the US and in Europe. And in addition to the electric vehicle sector, there's about 5 tons of copper in every 3 megawatt wind turbine that's being installed, and about 5 tons of copper in every 1 megawatt solar panel installation. So you can see these things are absolutely critical. These industrial metals are critical for getting us through the energy transition. It's going to take decades, and BCIM is one option for investors to look at if they want to switch out of some of the lower conviction instruments they're in right now, which there may be quite a few instruments at this point through this year. It's been a very unusual year, and they want to switch into longer term, higher conviction holdings.
So, Bob, we talked about the industrial metals part of the name of BCIM, but let's talk about the K1 aspect. What is the tax implications of using this ETF versus perhaps some other commodity products?
Sure. So there's two worlds out there. One world who knows what a K1 is and hates them, and the other world which doesn't know what a K1 is and hopefully will never find out what a K1 is. But basically, it's a tax form. It means that you will need to go through an extra step with your accountant. Your tax filing deadline gets pushed way out. Basically, you don't want to. All things being equal, you really wouldn't want to invest in an instrument with a K1, and this instrument does not generate a K1, so it makes it a lot easier for advisors and investors at tax time.
Well, that's great. I think we've given the audience a lot to understand about BCIM, the Aberdeen commodity ETF tied to industrial metals. So, Bob, thanks for joining me and have a great day.
Thank you.